It showed a man sitting in front of an elaborate console of knobs, buttons, and sliders. The label below him read, "Sound Engineer." When I saw this photo, I felt, more than thought, he's making records but not playing an instrument. Maybe I could do that. Not long after that Led Zeppelin concert, I decided to act on my vow. I divorced my husband and moved to Hollywood with less than $100 in my bank account. I persuaded a professional audio company to take a chance and hire me as an audio technician trainee. They taught me to install and repair the sophisticated electronic equipment in recording studios, the magical workshops where musical wizards made albums. Working as an audio tech wasn't nearly as glamorous as making music, or mixing it for that matter, but in a few years' time it provided me with an intimate view of record making by talented artists such as Crosby, Stills and Nash, Jackson Browne, and Bonnie Raitt. I admired all the artists whose music I was fortunate enough to serve, but my favorite kind of music was soul. Performers like James Brown, Marvin Gaye, Al Green, and Sly Stone. And there was no question which artist was my favorite. The newcomer mowing down all the conventions of pop, rock, and soul, Prince. But Prince recorded his music elsewhere, and I knew that he wasn't ever going to walk through the door of the Los Angeles studio where I worked. Then one life-changing day in the early summer of 1983, I got a call from a former boyfriend who worked as chief tech for Westlake Audio, Michael Jackson's chosen studio. In his thick Boston accent, John said, "Your dream job is waiting for you. Prince is looking for a technician." I instantly knew that the job would be mine. I had been a Prince fan from the moment I'd heard his first single, Soft and Wet, coming out of a boombox held on the lap of a young black teen on the back of an eastbound bus crawling along Sunset Boulevard in Hollywood. I had seen Prince a couple of times on tour and had all his albums. I also knew through the professional grapevine that he liked working with women. His genre-bending sound and avant-garde profile made him a rare bird, an eclectic outsider to the folk rock musicians surrounding me in Southern California. But the fact that I was one of a tiny handful of female audio technicians in the industry made me a rare bird, too. None of the more experienced technicians in Los Angeles were interested in taking the gig because it required relocating to the Midwest, thousands of miles from the epicenter of the entertainment industry. I, on the other hand, was willing to leave everyone and everything behind, move to Minneapolis, and become the personal tech for the artist who meant the most to me. Prince had just finished touring for his groundbreaking double album 1999. He was at an early point in his next record, and the first thing he needed me to do was install a new recording console in his home. That task took me about a week to finish, after which we began to have short exchanges. Prince was famously taciturn, especially while working. What little conversation we did have was about equipment and practical matters, but one day, as I drove up to the gate outside his house, I had Sly and the Family Stone's "Thank You for Letting Me Be Myself Again" cranked up on my car stereo. I lowered the car window and pressed the button for the intercom. Prince answered by singing along. That might have been the first time he realized that he and I shared the same musical taste, that we lived on the same street, as he liked to put it. Perhaps that's why, after I finished installing the equipment, he unexpectedly invited me to sit in the recording engineer's chair. There's a world of difference between an audio tech and a recording engineer. To use an analogy from the movie business, the recording engineer is like the cinematographer, while the audio tech is like the crew person who repairs the camera. But Prince didn't realize, or more likely didn't care, that I had no experience in the art of manipulating sound. He trusted my technical knowledge and, somewhat audaciously, was willing to trust my ability to listen. For someone so determined to make her way in the music industry, it was an astonishing opportunity. I was learning to make records from one of the most original musical minds of his generation, hearing what he heard, listening through his ears. My first professional experience in the engineer's chair helped me realize that all the happy hours I'd spent listening to records had supplied me with a rich mental framework for making musical decisions. Once an engineer masters the technical tools of the trade, the next step is to use those tools to make